Hello, passengers, co-pilots, shotgun callers, blunderbuss bellowers, and midnight riders. Welcome to another episode of Full Moon Empty Road. As always, I'm Jeremy, and I'll be your driver tonight. Hope everybody had a great week, and I hope you're ready for another road trip. We are headed to Montgomery County, Iowa, to what is considered to be one of the most haunted houses in America. The Villisca Axe Murder House of Villisca, Iowa. So get in, buckle up, grab the rock salt, and let's ride. We have work to do. And while we're headed there, I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you to everyone for checking out today's episode, and thank you for sticking around during another hiatus. I've been having a problem finding time to record, so everything's kind of few and far between right now, and I do apologize for that. So just, I guess, be on the lookout, whenever you see something new drop, because these days I don't know when the next one's gonna, when I'm gonna have time to hit the next one. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, you can find me at the following places. That is FMER Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, Full Moon Empty RD on Twitter, and Full Moon Empty Road on TikTok. Now, if you'd like to support the podcast, listener support is on Spotify. You can head over to Bonfire and pick up a shirt, a tank top, a hat, notebook, or a coffee mug. You can drop a tip in the Patreon or Good Pods tip jar, or you can buy me a coffee. All links are in the About section on YouTube and in the description. Or if you're listening on YouTube, you can hit the like button to appease the algorithm gods, or leave a review for any of you Spotify listeners. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And it looks like we're here. Founded in the mid-19th century, Villisca became officially incorporated in 1887. The town's name is believed to be derived from the Native American word Waliska, which means pretty place or pleasant view. During its early years, Villisca grew rapidly due to its location along the railroad. The arrival of the railroad brought economic opportunities, and the town developed into a thriving community with businesses, schools, and churches. Agriculture also played a significant role in the local economy, with many residents engaged in farming and related activities. Now, the town itself is most famously known for the tragic events of the Villisca Axe murders in 1912, which left a lasting impact on its history and identity. Despite the dark chapter, Villisca has maintained its small-town charm and community spirit. I feel like I'm trying to sell everybody on taking a vacation up to Villisca. But today, Villisca is a quiet rural town with a population of around 1,200 people. It retains much of its historical character, with several buildings and sites reflecting its 19th and early 20th century heritage. The Villisca Axe Murder House remains a notable landmark, drawing visitors interested in history and the paranormal. The historic home in Villisca, Iowa, is where one of America's most infamous unsolved crimes took place. On the night of June 9th, 1912, 8 people, including 6 children, were brutally murdered with an axe while they slept. The victims were Josiah and Sarah Moore, their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, and 2 visiting children, Anna and Lena Stillinger. The crime shocked the small town and the nation. Despite a lengthy investigation and several suspects, including a traveling preacher named Reverend George Kelly, a state senator named Frank Jones, and others, the case was never solved. Theories about the motive ranged from revenge to a random act of violence, but no conclusive evidence was found. Anna and Lena Stillinger were at the Moore house on the night of the murders because they had been invited to spend the night with the Moore children. On June 9th, 1912, the Moore family and the Stillinger sisters attended a Children's Day program at the Presbyterian Church in Villisca. After the event, Catherine Moore invited her friends Anna and Lena to stay overnight at her family's home. The Stillinger sisters' parents granted permission, not knowing the tragic events that would unfold that night. This sleepover resulted in the 2 sisters being among the 8 victims of the horrific crime. Now, imagine how their parents felt. one different decision and their children would have lived. But again, I mean, who would have thought that someone would go in and kill everybody in the house that particular night? I mean, I imagine that ate them alive. Just, I've got 2 kids of my own, and I couldn't imagine something like that happening. I would probably be, among other things, just questioning myself, like, all I had to do was tell them no, maybe another time, The bodies of the victims were found by their neighbor, Mary Peckham. On the morning of June 10th, 1912, Mary noticed that the Moore household was unusually quiet, and the family had not started their usual morning routines. She became concerned and went to check on them and found the house locked, and she couldn't get a response from inside. So Peckham contacted Ross Moore, that's Josiah's brother, and he came to the house with his spare key. When Ross entered the home, he discovered the bodies of the Moore family and the Stillinger sisters. He quickly called for help, and the local authorities were summoned to the scene, marking the beginning of the investigation into the horrific crime. So, the Villisca axe murders remain unsolved, and that is due to several factors that hindered the investigation and the ability to identify the perpetrator. Now, remember, this was 1912, and, crime scene investigation and forensics was not anywhere close to what it is today, not even in the same zip code. But here are some crime scene contamination issues. Well, here's a few of the issues that they, ran across during the investigation. Starting out with crime scene contamination. The crime scene was not secured properly, and many curious townspeople entered the Moore's house before investigators could gather evidence, contaminating the scene and making it difficult to collect useful forensic data. Because, let's go wander around this house of all these people that just got murdered. And I mean, are you kidding me? Stay outside. Don't go rifling through their shit. How hard is that? Also, a lack of modern forensic techniques, such as DNA analysis, fingerprinting, and advanced blood pattern analysis were not available at the time. Investigators had to rely on less reliable methods which limited their ability to identify the killer. As stated earlier, they also dealt with multiple suspects, each with plausible motives and opportunities to commit the crime. Again, suspects included Reverend George Kelly, a traveling preacher with a history of mental illness and odd behavior. Frank Jones, a local businessman and state senator who had business and personal conflicts with Josiah Moore, and William Mansfield, a suspected serial killer. The inability to definitively link any of these suspects to the crime further complicated the investigation. Another issue was conflicting theories and lack of evidence. Various theories emerged, but none could be conclusively proven. Reverend George Kelly even confessed to the murders, but later recanted. His confession was inconsistent, and he was acquitted in a later trial. The lack of concrete evidence to support any single theory left the case unresolved. Then there were investigative limitations. Law enforcement agencies at the time lacked the resources, training, and coordination that modern police forces have. Now, granted, these days, that doesn't sound like there's a large gap there with things that go on in the real world, But I guess maybe it was just a little bit worse back then. The investigation was hampered by these limitations, making it challenging to conduct a thorough and effective inquiry. They also saw community pressure and media sensation. The high-profile nature of the case and intense media scrutiny may have added pressure on investigators, leading to rushed or flawed conclusions on decisions. The house has since become a popular tourist attraction and is said to be haunted. Visitors and paranormal investigators have reported strange occurrences such as unexplained noises, voices, and apparitions. The Villisca Axe Murder House remains a significant part of true crime history and continues to intrigue and terrify those who visit or study the case. Not me, though. I'm not too terrified of it. Like, I'm not going to go hang around there anytime soon, but that's mostly because it's up in Iowa and not, where I'm at. But the Villisca Axe Murder House is reputed to be one of the most haunted locations in the United States. The house has attracted numerous paranormal investigators and curious visitors who report various eerie experiences. So from this point, we're going to move into, after a good 10 minutes of, talking about the history, we're going to move into a few minutes of the hauntings. One of the issues that people deal with in terms of hauntings is unexplained noises. Visitors and investigators often report hearing unexplained footsteps, bangs, and other noises throughout the house, particularly at night. These sounds are thought to resemble the movements of the victims or the killer. Another thing is disembodied voices. Many people have reported hearing whispers, children's laughter, and cries. These voices are often heard in the rooms where the murders took place. Sudden drops in temperature, known as cold spots, are frequently also reported, particularly in the bedrooms where the murders occurred. These cold spots are often accompanied by a feeling of unease or dread. So I guess if you're standing in one of the bedrooms and you feel a little bit uneasy and then you start feeling a little bit cold, that means maybe you're being visited by one of the people murdered, maybe whoever it was that killed them. Because I would assume the person that killed him, I would assume the person that killed him is not still alive today after, having been 1912 when this happened. People experience physical sensations. Some visitors have experienced physical sensations such as being touched, pushed, or having their clothing tugged. These experiences are often described as unnerving and unexpected. There have also been reports of objects moving on their own, including doors opening and closing, and items being displaced or thrown. So, next time you happen to be at the Villisca Axe Murder House and you see a vase come hurling at your head, might be time to get out. It doesn't have to be a vase. It could be a plate. It could be a spoon or something. Electronic disturbances are also another issue. Paranormal investigators often report malfunctions with their electronic equipment, such as batteries draining rapidly, cameras malfunctioning, and audio equipment picking up unexplained sounds. And that is something I remember from my days as a ghost hunter is we used to carry just this huge bag of just full of batteries, different kinds, AA, AAA, D, whatever you needed. And it seemed like it just, no matter what, something's battery was going to die real quick. And a lot of times that did happen. A flashlight would die after, just a couple hours. Digital recorder would start showing a low battery flash. And it's like, that's interesting because these are fresh. We would always put fresh batteries in our equipment, or we would have batteries fully charged before we started the investigation. EVPs are another haunting that people have noticed. Many paranormal investigators have captured EVPs, which are recordings of voices that were not heard at the time of the recording. And they often include voices that seem to respond to questions or make statements related to the murders. The combination of these reported hauntings has made the Villisca Axe Murder House a popular destination for those interested in the paranormal. And, despite numerous investigation, the source of these phenomena remains unexplained, adding to the house's mystery and eerie reputation. And that is really all I have for you on the Villisca Axe Murder House. It's great to be back and doing this again. I miss recording and putting out content when I don't get to for a while. But I want to say thank you to everyone who stopped in and checked out today's story about the Villisca Axe Murder House. Again, if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at FMER Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, Full Moon Empty RD on Twitter, and Full Moon Empty Road on TikTok. If you would like to suggest a haunted location, if you'd like to make any suggestion, you can hit me up on any of those places. You can also drop me a line at fullmoonemptyroad@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, check the links in the description. You can, buy something from the bonfire store, whatever it is you'd want to do. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the patience. I want to say thank you one last time to everybody for checking in. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a good day, and let's go home.